Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're now in the middle of, just starting game two for Canadian Death and Taxes versus Merfolk. We're just in the process of shuffling up and getting ready to present. Again, I'm joined by my guest commentator this evening, Michael Day. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So as we're getting started here, I mean, obviously going into game two, they're going to have some interesting sideboard choices. What does it look like they got there?
Well, out of the Canadian Taxes list, we got your standard white good stuff. So a couple of Stony Silences, 2 Rest in Peace. A card that's been used a lot to hate on Jund or just the general rock decks, 2 Mirror Crusaders. Some anti-Anger of the Gods tech here with some 2 Burton Forge Tenders. And then I guess for some abuse with those Restoration Angels, we've got an Avalanche Rider. A bit unusual, we've got an Anger of the Gods and a Wrath of God. Which is not something that you see a lot in a creature deck like this, but I guess maybe they're good against opposing creature decks. A Spellskite, a Disenchant, a Grand Abolisher, and a Shatterstorm round out his sideboard.
Very interesting. I wonder what are those. What do you think he's going to bring in against Fish in this particular regard? I mean, Merfolk. It seems like Anger and Wrath might not be terrible choices, being that they're on the opposing aggro. So the Merfolk player could walk into an overextended board only to have the Canadian Taxes player blow him out with a Wrath of God effect. That could be pretty real, don't you think?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, he can take more of a controlling role, especially with the Restoration Angels. So you could let, because Merfolk's going to have to commit in this matchup, so you could let Merfolk commit a bit, then blow him out with some sort of Wrath effect, and then flash in a couple of Restoration Angels for the victory.
Oh, that's a very good point. Why don't we see, what do we think the Merfolk player is going to do to make sure that the Canadian Taxes player here doesn't win and get the advantage? What has he got in his sideboard to help him in this matchup?
For this matchup in particular, he doesn't have a whole lot. His sideboard includes a Grafdigger's Cage, a Pithing Needle, a Steel Sabotage, 3 Swan Songs, 2 Hercule's Recall, 2 Rest in Peace, a Spellskite, a Stony Silence, a Torp Orb, and 2 Kira Great Glass Spinners. Now, out of all of that, the only thing I can see possibly being relevant here is maybe the Kira Glass Spinners are probably better than his main deck Curse Catchers, just to blank those Path to Exiles, and I mean, he does see red from his opponent, so you could probably suspect some bolts.
That's very true. Okay, so looking at the game state here, obviously we're just looking at the sideboard stuff. So we've got Thalia out with a Regery looking at a Regery and a Silvergill Adept with a 2-mana Aether Vial coming down on the turn 3. That's I don't know if that is that where he wants to be. Do you think he wants to be dropping the 2 mana on the turn 3 Aether Vial?
Oh, well, definitely not. You always want to have that Aether Vial out turn 1, but when you draw it, you draw it, so I guess he's just playing into what he's got here.
That's very true. Alright, so let's see, we got some more Lord of Atlantis. That's another Lord. That is definitely not boding well for the Canadian Taxes player. No. We're going to get some red zone action here. That looks like 7, if I'm not mistaken, coming in.
Definitely in contrast to Game 1, this is a reasonable open for Merfolk. This is what you normally expect to see. You know, Silvergull Adept or Curse Catcher followed up by a couple of Lords, and this is where they get their really aggressive states going.
Yeah, that's very true. You did mention he had a very soft hand Game 1, but it looks like he's on the right track with the multiple Lords and the can-tripping Fish there in the middle. Let's see what the Canadian Taxes player's got. He's got his 4 mana now, so he's in Restoration territory, Restoration Angel, and he's got the Aether Vial on 1, so that could be a Grim Lavamancer anytime now. And let's see, Merfolk player's going to draw his card, and it looks like the Merfolk player's got a Path, and maybe another Lord in hand, maybe the Master of the Pearl Trident there, another Lord. I can't really make it out, but let's see what he's going to bring in. Maybe what do you think he brought in from his sideboard in this particular matchup?
I still would probably say that Kira would be his only super viable option here, and even that's not great in this matchup. I think he just needs to rely on the cards in his main deck. A real nice card for him in this board state would be a Spreading Seas, because that way any Restoration Angels to come out wouldn't really have any impact.
That's very true. Okay, so it looks like we had a Vapor Snag on the Thalia, but our Canadian Taxes player Ryan responded with a Restoration Angel targeting the Thalia, so that's unfortunately looks like it's going to blank that Vapor Snag, which is not great for the Fish player here. So hopefully he can. I don't know. I don't think he's going to commit to that red zone. I don't think he wants to trade any of his guys there for the potential damage of the Spreading Seas later on.
Well, at that point, his Silvergull Adept was a 4/3, so it would have traded favorably with both of Ryan's creatures there. I think I wouldn't have hated to swing in.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it looks like he might have a Spreading Seas potentially in his hand, so I don't know. That's 4 damage that could go right to the crown, but I guess we'll see what his line of play is. That Triple Aether Vial, that came down. Looks like the Canadian Taxes player is on Tribal Aether Vial plan right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully does he look like he got gas in his hand? It looks like there might be a Wrath of God in there. I thought I saw a whiteboard Wrath of God, so that actually might not be bad. It could be mistaken.
At this point, it would be a 3 for 3, which is not always the best place you want to be with a Wrath of God.
Oh, Spreading Seas. We're gonna
That's
make sure
exactly what Merfolk wants to see.
Yeah, that's definitely, and that's gonna cost 3 mana. So hopefully he wasn't banking on that extra land. But he's got that island walk now, so that's gonna put those guys into the red zone for sure. So what do we got here? We got just this no swing with the Lord of Atlantis.
That's definitely surprising.
Yeah, I mean, does it only? What is the? I guess we'd have to look at the Oracle rating, but I'm sure all of them are Merfolk get Island Walk, right?
Oh, that's absolutely right. Because the other Lord is Merrow Reedery,
Right.
it does not give Island Walk to the Lord of Atlantis, and Lord of Atlantis only gives Island Walk to all other Merfolk.
Right.
So the Lord of Atlantis right now is not unblockable.
It's just a 3/3, unfortunately. So unfortunately, it can't get in there. But it looks like the Canadian Taxes player is gone down to 5. So maybe if that's a Wrath of God, I think we're about to find out. And here comes the draw. And is it the Wrath of God? Oh, he's moving some mana. He's passing the turn. That's surprising.
Maybe it's a fated retribution.
I didn't see it anywhere in the 75, but stranger things have happened. Deck lists have been submitted in error, but I don't think that's the case here. I don't think that's a fated retribution. Let's see what's coming down. That's a Master of the Pearl Trident, if I'm not mistaken. Now they all have Island Walk, and that is a lot of damage coming in unblockable with that the fancy Island Walk and a Mutavault. Oh dear. I think that's
a 5/5 Mutavault. That's coming in pretty hard.
Yeah, that is. Hopefully he splashed black for the eye gouge, but I don't think that's coming in. And there's the 4th Aether Vial. Okay, I think that's the concession or lethal. Oh, we're taking the lethal here. All right, so we're going on to game 3. Stay tuned.